Hey everybody, I'm Jesse and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to kick this episode off by talking about the government shutdown. We might stray off into another direction once people start showing up. But this government shutdown, now when you think about it, what's changed, okay? What is shutting down? Now, the only thing that I've heard so far, Oliver Rust, what's up? Glad to see you here, man. Yeah, early riser. Just another guy in the woods. Good morning, Lake. But our government shut down over here. Our government acts like it's a big deal, and this. But what's really going on? Okay, now some of the things that are actually being affected, some people actually care about, and some people don't give a shit about. But the majority of us think that they're good. Paying our military personnel. We think overall, I would say that most of the population of the United States think that's a good thing. So that's one of the things that a government shutdown shuts down. Okay, everything that gets shut down is good or something that the people approve of. Paying the essential, federal workers, yeah, they're not going to get paid. So that's shut down. That's stopped. That's to a screeching halt. Now, these lifelong politicians, these career politicians, now their checks aren't going to stop. They're going to get their paychecks, okay? But it's the people on the ground, the common folks. They don't get their paychecks. Now, do you think for a second that the CIA is going to be defunded during this government shutdown? Do you think they stop spying on us and subverting foreign governments and shit like that? Do they stop fomenting war and shit over there in other countries? Do you think that just comes to a screeching halt when the government shuts down? Do you think they stop funding these foreign wars? Anything that we think is bad or maybe even questionable, do you think that shit shuts down? Not for a second. All right? Not for a second. That shit is chugging along like a damn freight train. There's no hitch in that giddy up. The only thing that shuts down is the stuff that that we approve of. Doesn't that seem coincidental to people? Doesn't that seem doesn't that bring up questions in your head? Why wouldn't they shut down the bad stuff? You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't they shut down the funding of foreign wars and give our military personnel a break and just let them sit around and get paid for a month or a couple weeks or whatever for sitting on their asses? I was in the military. I know they run. They run every day. They do push-ups and sit-ups. They do PT every day. They work hard, so they deserve a damn break. All right. Why don't they shut the CIA down for a bit? Do you think I need to be spied on every single day of the year? You don't think maybe they can shut down their servers for a week or something and stop spying on American citizens for just a week? Just stop that shit for a week. No, none of that shit stops, right? None of it. Not a bit of it. Raziel, what's up, Raziel? Glad to see you here. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm headed. Patty Paws. Hey, Patty Paws. That's where I'm at too. AF got on here the other day Chaz, what's up? Long time no see, Chaz. What's up, dude? Glad to see you here, man. AF got on here a few episodes ago, and Eric. Good morning, Eric. Glad to see you here, man. But AF got on here and said that doctors will have a hard time because they have to get some kind of federal license or something, which I'm completely ignorant of. I have no idea. But AF mentioned it in the comments, and that's going to be rough on doctors with the federal licensing and shit. And that, to me, speaks about government overreach, right? What the hell is the government doing interjecting themselves in between doctors and patients and teachers and students and all this stuff? You know what I'm saying? That that shouldn't even be a thing. A government shutdown should not affect a completely civilian doctor from attending their patients at all, ever. What the hell does a government shutdown have to do with that? What the hell does a government shutdown have to do with a teacher teaching their students? A federal government shutdown. So, yeah, this kind of shit, dude, this has just gone way too far with this bullshit, this federal government. It went way too far 60 years ago before I was ever born. This is way out there Pluto shit, you know what I mean? Rusty Dude, what's up, Rusty? Glad you could make it, man. What do you think about the government shutdown, dude? What do you think? Except for like AF, you know, these doctors who are having a hard time because they have to get these licenses and shit, and they have all the sympathy in the world from me, but you know, it's like a big monster or something, you know what I'm saying? That monster, something needs to be done about that monster, you know. Damn, I would just, even though it would make things harder on some folks, I can't help but feel like I would like to see that shit shut down, dude. I mean, shut that shit down permanently, and we'll figure something else out at the state level. We'll come up with a new form of federal government or something. I don't know. Shut that shit down. From my vantage point, from where I sit, doing what I do, just a common average person day to day, the federal government does absolutely nothing for me. Nothing but rob me. Right? Yeah, they lie to me and all this other shit too, but I don't have to listen to that shit. They rob me, I have to pay them. Right? We have to pay them their money. So that is the only thing directly impacting me, is the amount of money they steal from me. So other than that, I don't even notice a federal government at all, whether it's running, not running, you know, whether the whole federal government could go on vacation and do some kind of trip to Israel for 6 months. It would not affect me in the slightest, not even a little bit. So, yeah, they could shut that shit down for the foreseeable future and do something else. God's Warrior, what's up, dude? Glad to see you here, man. Tim Beck. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Tim Beck. We're on the same page there. It's a global agenda, that globalism shit. It's been in play since probably the 70s or 60s or something. It's just a slow rollout, you know? They started with that global economy shit, shipping all of our jobs to China and Taiwan and stuff, but mostly China. It's insane. And any common person who is supporting any of this globalism shit, they are just way out there in la la land. They don't know what the hell's going on. Don't even want a clue. Oh, yeah. Gen Z won't know what the hell this is. Yeah. Yeah, my wife got this for me. She knows I love that old nostalgia shit, so she'll run across something like this once in a while and order it for me. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Tim. Yeah, rich people do rich shit. Yeah, exactly. And most of the time, it's highway robbery. Just like this stock market crash and this crypto crash and all this shit that just happened. That's like a blue light special at Kmart for rich people. You know, when the stock market crashes, they just get to scoop up a bunch of cut rate stocks and crypto and shit at cut rate prices. You know, because they have the resources in reserve to do that. Now all the people that lost their ass, their entire savings when the shit crashed, well, you're ass out. You didn't have all the billions of resources or millions of resources in reserve, to scoop up the flash sale. So yeah, and hard times are it's inverted. Hard times for us are great times for the ultra rich. They're just amazing times. Yeah, they fleece the population just completely legally at unprecedented levels. They just get to fleece the population, take all your money at once because because we think that the stock market and shit is a wonderful thing and all this. Yeah, and I've said it before, the stock market is just a tool of manipulation. It's bullshit. I know people think I'm crazy when I say that shit, but it is. We don't need it. We don't need it. Not only do we not need it, it is bad. Yes, I'll say it again. The stock market is a bad thing for the common person, for the population, the common population. The stock market is a bad thing, right? There is way more money probably lost in the stock market, by the average person than is made throughout the year by the average person. All right, yeah, the rich, they make tons of money on the stock market because number one, they have the resources to ride the dips. Not only that, they'll scoop up, like I said earlier, just a minute ago, they'll scoop that shit up, more of it at the cut rates. That's just a flash sale to them. If you have all of your money in this thing, then you're gambling with your shit. You're rolling the dice. Is it going to go up or is it going to go down? And when when times get hard, and that's a big portion or the totality of your money is invested in this shit, and you've got bills to pay. Well, now you got to take it out to pay the mortgage or the rent or whatever, and now that stock has dropped, the price of that stock. So you put $1,000 in there, you take $400 out. Who gets that $600? Well, the guy that bought it up at a cut rate. Yeah. Country boy archaeology. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's one thing I believe in, always have, always will, is physical, physical investments. I mean, silver, gold, stuff like that. And even more than that, and now they've got people just buying silver and gold online. I don't all right. And if you do that, I'm not hacking on you or nothing. That just seems a little digital to me. I want to hold that shit in my hand, but to each their own. But yeah, I think physical investments are better. I mean, an antique or piles of coffee, anything other than this digital shit. If you think about it, we used to get stock certificates. You buy a stock, you got a damn thing saying you own the stock. Now it's all just digital. They could shut that shit off with the flick of a switch and all of your money would be gone. Not saying that will happen or ever will happen, but it could, because it's all online, right? China could attack us and shut all that shit down. Some cyber shit, whatever. It's possible within the realm of physics, within, the laws of our universe, it's possible. Now, within the laws of our universe, it's not possible for my silver just to disappear, because it's real. I own it. I have it. I can pick it up and hold it in my hand and look at it. So yeah, that's just where I'm at with that. Those kind of investments, I just think if you can't touch it and hold it, you don't own it, and that's where my mind's at with that. Yeah, we're gonna roll with it, Tim. Yeah, you got that right. Yeah, yeah, we would be, Raziel. Yeah, if the states just run themselves, we don't, honestly, we don't need a federal government, kind of, it would be a federal government when it first was made and when it was first created, and it was very small and functional and streamlined. I think it probably did a good job and had a valuable purpose, and was useful. Now it's this bloated, swollen leech of a monster that just getting completely rid of it would be better than what we have now. You know what I mean? Now, compared to the federal government of 1800, no, yeah, there's no comparison. The federal government of 1800 would be better than no government. But our government now, nothing, zero government would be better than the government we have now. It's changed that much. And that's one of the reasons why, why we're in debt so far, and they need all these massive taxes and stuff, is because the federal government is so bloated and swollen and just consumes resources and money, and it's a black hole. We're just literally throwing money into a $37 trillion black hole. And now the interest, we can't even make the yearly interest payments. It's our taxes just vanish as soon as they're taken out of our check. So yeah. Yeah, Raziel, yeah. Silver, I honestly believe that. Silver and gold and stuff like that, that's just the way to go for investment. Walmart involved with Musk? I haven't heard that. I'm going to have to check that out, Tim. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool, Tim. Yeah, y'all can join us, dude. We'll get rid of both federal governments. Yeah. We'll join together. All the people of Canada and the United States join together in 51 states. Oh, they already said, oh, I didn't know that, country boy. A power outage? Yeah. Oh, all right. Yeah, they wanted to save the theater chain. Yeah. NAU, Tim Beck. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, well, Chaz, yeah. I mean, I never deny that there is money to be made in Bitcoin and stock market and shit. There's money to be made there. I'm not denying that. I never will, because I would be lying. Shit, I don't get up here to lie, not on purpose anyway. So yeah, people that want to get in on crypto and make a shot of cash, or make a bunch of money, if you can do that over even a long period of time, whatever, more power to you. You know what I'm saying? But at some point in the future, there's no telling when, but at some point in the future, that kind of shit has to collapse. There's no, because it's not real. It doesn't exist. Stocks don't exist. Cryptocurrency doesn't exist. It's not real. So it cannot continue infinitum on into, forever. So when it collapses is anybody's guess. It might collapse in 10,000 years. I don't know. But because maybe in 10,000 years we'll be so advanced and we'll find something new and better than crypto and it'll collapse. Who knows? But at some point it's got to collapse. Gold and silver will not collapse. They're always going to be there. They're physical things in the universe. They'll be there. Now their value might collapse. People might not want them anymore, which I don't know. That people have always valued gold and silver for as long as we've had people, to pound metal. So that's a less likely scenario. But yeah, and gold and silver doesn't spike. You know what I mean? Like crypto. So there's less chance of getting rich overnight with tangible investments like that. So it's a gamble. You can get rich at the casino too, but it's a gamble. So that's where I'm at with it. In a long term, if I'm going to put my money in something and sock it away for a long term, it's going to be tangible shit. If I'm going to, if I got $1,000 one day and I get $1,000 that I can just throw at something and hope it, pops up overnight and, 10x is my money. Yeah, I'll throw it at crypto. Hell yeah. I'm not against gambling completely. Just personally, I'm not a big fan of those digital currencies and stuff. And that's what the stock market is now too. It's another form of digital currency. Stocks aren't real. They're not, they're not real things. Yeah. Yeah, Raziel. Yeah, nothing. We wouldn't change if the federal government shut down. We wouldn't. Shit wouldn't collapse. We would just figure out another way to do what we need to do to stay alive. Yeah, I believe that, Lake. Yeah, just the EU just keeps adding problems. Yeah, to everybody they can. That's the nature of that kind of stuff. Government and XRP, Chaz. Yeah, hell yeah. Mining it yourself, country boy. Yeah. Mining it yourself, that would be cool. I know a lot of people got rich doing that. When Bitcoin first started and they were just mining it and they had, 10,000 Bitcoin or whatever on their computer, and then Bitcoin goes up to 60 grand a coin. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm just not, I'm not gonna pump my life savings or anything into crypto, but if I had extra money, I might throw it in there and see what happens. I've done it before. Shit, I doubled my money. I'm not anti crypto. I'm just anti digital shit total. I'm not gonna bet my life on some digital shit. Gen X Jack, what's up, dude? Glad to see you here, man. You can find $1,000 worth of silver in your jacket pocket. Yeah, for the immediate future, the foreseeable future, yeah, possibly, country boy. That depends on what happens to technology and stuff. You know what I mean? Uh, I don't know how long it will last. How long will that future last? That sounds really cool, and I've read about it too, the blockchain and how all that stuff. But I'm not into that digital ID and everything digital, where they can just turn you off with the flick of a switch, turn off your identification, turn off your car, your vehicle registration and all that stuff, just completely delete your life on a blockchain. I'm not even down with the possibility of that. So no. Yeah, like if you make a crypto with a feedback loop to increase the real value, then it would make sense. Yeah, I think you've mentioned that to me before, huh? Like a long time ago, we talked about that. Yeah, that's a very interesting idea. Just another guy in the woods has a great idea there. Julia Pierce, what's up? Just dollar cost average in, don't buy all at once is the trick. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Towns with large Bitcoin mining companies, they drain the water, drive up electrical costs, and emit a hum that's louder than 100 decibels. Yeah. Yeah, that people will ruin everything over out of greed. They'll destroy everything. They'll figure out a way, and that's another thing. I'm sure in the early days of the stock market, it was a great thing. It was helpful to companies and people. Now it's distorted and screwed up, and it's just a tool of manipulation. I'm sure the early days of capitalism was wonderful. It was a wonderful thing. Competition to drive up wages and make better products, but now it's corrupted and disgusting. It's not even capitalism anymore. I'm sure the federal government was a wonderful thing when it first started, but now it's this bloated, monstrous behemoth of a war machine and a internal spying machine. But when people get a hold of it, and the worst people always rise to the tops of these systems, right? The scum of the earth rise to the top of the system. It's not, your good-hearted American lad that just wants to help his fellow man and shit like that. No, those are the guys that go die in wars. They don't, rise to the top of these huge systems and control them and make them better and better for humanity. No, it's the scumbags that rise to the top of these governments and these institutions and these companies, and they gut humanity. And that's just the world we live in. If they can figure out a way, and they already are, they're manipulating crypto on large scales. These institutional investors, they're already manipulating the shit out of it. And it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. Crypto should have, in my opinion, would have been a lot better off if it would have just remained small and not allowed institutional investors to manipulate the market. Right? Just kept it small. Maybe only $100 or $50 or something investment at a time. You couldn't buy $1 billion worth of crypto. Period. That it would be fundamentally against the rules of crypto. It would be impossible. It would be written into the code that you could not buy, $10 million or $50 million worth of Bitcoin in a 24-hour period or a 30-day period even. It would be so much better if it was just left to the common person, if it was a common person's thing, and we could all rise up. But no, we've got these billion-dollar corporations coming down, scooping up all this crypto and manipulating the markets and shit, and it's going to be as bad or worse than the stock market at one point. And that's coming. It's coming. it's already here. It just hasn't reached that complete point yet, right? Just the over the top bullshit point yet. But it's come. That point's coming, and it's because those rich, ultra rich scumbags will destroy everything they can manipulate. Everything that they can get their hands on, they're going to destroy it and manipulate it and turn it into dog shit. And for us, it's going to be it's wonderful for them. It is right now. Like I said during that crash just now, they got all that crypto went on sale. That's the only thing that they saw. Oh shit, crypto's on sale today. Dogecoin down to 9 cents. Shit. I'm gonna get $10 million worth of them. Let me scoop that up real quick. That shouldn't be a thing. Yeah, Raziel. That's back when stocks were new. That's how it operated, and that, yeah. Yeah, yeah, Lake, you're right about that. It is all digital. It's all online now. We just have a hard copy, but it's not. It's not an identity. It's an ID. It's a represent. It's a representation. Just to identify you, but it's not your entire identification. What I'm talking about, this digital ID they want to pull out, is on the blockchain, and they put all your shit on there. The deed to your house, your whatever, your vehicle registration, everything is all tied together. Probably your DNA code will be on there, all that shit, and your bank account, and they can just flick that switch off on that your blockchain ID. Just turn that bitch off, and you're a non-entity. You can't spend any money because you don't have any physical money. You can't drive your car because the registration is expired. Your registration is no longer valid. So they turn your lights off. They evict you eventually because you can't. No matter how much money you have in your account, you can't pay your mortgage or your rent because your shit doesn't work. So yeah, we can't even come close to allowing anything like that. In my opinion, that's the future that I am worried about. Oh, gas fees with Ethereum. Yeah, I've heard about those before. Big ball Doge, Julia. Yeah. Yeah, country boy. Yeah, and you no longer exist. Yeah, you're a non-entity. After they flick that switch on when everything you are is digital, and they accumulate it and gather it together on the blockchain, and then they can just turn that off whenever you they don't have to come and get you and arrest you and put you in jail and take all that time messing with you. They just go onto the blockchain and flick your little switch. That'll teach you to post on Facebook anti-government shit. You know what I mean? That'll teach your ass. Get you a couple months of non-entity. That will be the sentence from now on. 2 months non-entity, and your ass that'll get your mind right. You get in step with the government, and that won't happen to you anymore. Yeah, buy the dip. Yeah, Chaz, and that's a good thing if you have the resources to buy the dip. If you can weather the dip, which of course all of the ultra rich have those resources, and then they just take all the Bitcoin and all the crypto. They take more of that out of circulation, and there's less for the common folks. They have simulated avatars of your biodigital imprint. Yeah, that sounds about like what's happening. Yeah, yeah, country boy. Yeah, what they're doing in the UK is on our doorstep as well. Yeah, oh yeah, UK is just at the forefront. They're just leading the pack with that shit. But all of us, Australia, Norway, Greece, Canada, all of us are going down that same road. Now Trump maybe is stalling that train, putting the brakes on that train a little bit, but he's not stopping it. Hopefully he's derailing it or something. I don't know, but he's not stopping it. And all of these fools, our fellow citizens who are just clamoring and begging for globalism and this dystopian authority, and I don't understand them. They're crazy. They're insane. They're anti-freedom. Who the hell wants to beg the government to give away their freedom? Oh yeah, there you go. Did you leave it in there, Chaz? I bet it's worth a pretty penny now. Yeah, country boy, you're right. It's not a loss until you sell it. Yeah, Christopher John, that's where I'm at with the gold and the silver. That just seems like if you want to invest in something in the long haul, that's just kind of where my mind's at. To each their own. Some people will swear by the stock market. Some people will swear by crypto. Some of us will swear by gold and silver. And to each their own. I wish the best for every common man, common person. I hope that everything works out for everybody. It's the politicians and the billionaires, the market manipulators and shit. Those are the people I have problem with. And the part of that problem. What time is it? 5:09. Okay, we still got time. But part of that problem, it is this whole digital format everything's going into, right? That we're just, and maybe that's just me from growing up in the 80s, and all of that is going to the digital format has not turned out well in any other scenario. All right. Now, DVDs. We used to have movies, and you bought a DVD, and you would bring it home, and you would own it, and you would put it in there whenever you wanted, and you would play it. If you lost your job and you were broke for 2 months, and dead broke, barely had enough money to pay your rent and buy some ramen noodles and shit and some macaroni and cheese, you could sit in your damn apartment or whatever for 2 months and watch those DVDs that you had accumulated, right? Now if that happens, you won't be able to pay your monthly fee, your monthly stipend to Google or Amazon Prime or whoever. So you don't get those movies that you've purchased. None of those digital movies are yours. They were being rented to you. Now it says on the thing purchase, when you hit the little digital button, it says purchase, right? But it doesn't say own. What you're doing is renting. You don't get to go on to Google or Amazon and download those movies afterward if you're not paying your monthly subscription fee. You don't get to go download those movies. No, those movies are unavailable to you. They are not yours. They do not belong to you. Same thing with that Audible, Amazon's Audible thing. I've told y'all that before, but I ran into a financial little crunch there. So I canceled my Audible subscription. And they made me jump through 10,000 hoops. Oh, you don't want to do that. Amazon told me, you can do something else, and don't cancel your subscription. Don't do that. How about you just do, put it on pause for a little bit. We'll kick it up and we'll kick it back on in 30 days. And I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to be like in 30 days. I don't know if I'm going to be able to to right this ship in 30 days. So I don't want to do that. So no, I just want to go ahead and cancel my subscription. Now I had about $400 worth of audiobooks that I'd purchased. So I canceled my subscription. And when that last monthly payment ran out, right? The next payment was due and it wasn't paid. I had been downloading audiobooks and stuff and to my phone and listening to them at work, and I went to download an audiobook and it said no. The audiobooks that I had purchased, the ones that I already owned that were supposed to be mine, that they had accepted my money in trade, right? But they didn't give me the book. I didn't receive the book. They just rented me a digital copy of the book. I didn't really own it. So I realized that, and I abandoned that whole $400. I didn't never turn my Audible subscription back on. I abandoned that entire $400 library I had, and I went over to another one called LIBRO FM, which that's their big thing, is you own the books. You know what I'm saying? You can literally download them to any, to a computer and put them on a little thumb drive, and you own them. So yeah, that's really cool. Julia, thank you, Julia. I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you so much, Julia. And thank y'all for showing up and hanging out with me today and talking about all this cool stuff and all this bad stuff. Grandma was a moonshine runner, Raziel. That's awesome, dude. Yeah. Yeah, country boy. It should be illegal, but it's not. That's the way we're going now. You know what I mean? So I see this stuff happening. This stuff happens in real life, in real time to me. And this is where I was going with that whole story with all this digital shit, right? The DVDs we used to have, we used to be able to buy movies. Now it's all digital and we're streaming it and all this stuff. But if you don't pay your monthly fee, you find out that you own nothing, absolutely nothing. Okay? Bucky, what's up, dude? Glad to see you here, man. Glad you can make it this early in the morning. And the same thing with our music and our books and all this stuff. You think you own that stuff when you buy it, but you don't. You don't. And that's the same thing with stocks and all this other shit, right? We think we own that shit until the chips fall down, and then you're going to find out you don't own it. Now, are the chips going to fall to that point in our lifetime? I have no idea. Like I said, the chips, the ship might crash in 1,000 years. I have no idea. But I just have an aversion to all this digital shit, right? Maybe because I'm a throwback to the 80s where we used to have physical media. I used to have cassette tapes or DVDs, and I could hold them and touch them and feel them, and they were mine. I worked hard for them, and I bought them, and they were mine. Now, I work hard for shit and buy shit, and it's somebody else's. It doesn't belong to me. I don't like that. No, and with my investments, I'm the same way. That silver I have is mine. I can hold it and hug that shit and polish it, and it's mine. So yeah, that's where I'm at, kind of with that stuff, right? I'm not poo-pooing on Bitcoin. I'm not poo-pooing on the stock market. I'm just saying I want real shit. If y'all want to invest in that stuff, go right ahead. I mean, that I'm not gonna talk shit about you. To each their own. Maybe you just don't have that same kind of feeling I do about the digital stuff. That just rubs me the wrong way. Yeah, Lake. Just another guy in the woods. There's still hope for an apocalypse. Yeah. That asteroid might hit in my backyard. That would be awesome. Ba-boom! Well, no, that's a little too close. That's a little too close. That would probably knock out a window or something, you think? Yeah. Yeah, that's where I'm kind of thinking. I'd like to do a whole video maybe one of these days. I'm about to get some more time. We'll do a whole video on that country boy about 2030 and what we can expect. I did a pre-recorded video and just talked about it, but I haven't really just done a whole episode, a live stream, and talked about it with y'all. I had a conversation about that whole 2030 thing. But that's supposed to be a thing that's coming up. And if you look at history, every 10 years, at the end or the beginning of every decade, a major event happens. The economic collapse of 2009, 2010. Before that, 10 years prior to that, it was 9/11. 10 years after that, it was COVID. So every 10 years. And the next one is due in 2030. I'm just saying that, maybe it's an asteroid. I don't know. Is it just the way the universe works, or is it some elite ultra rich overlords controlling shit? I don't know. But yeah, not your keys, not your crypto, Chaz. Yeah, exactly. That's one good thing about crypto, that you can own the keys, where stock, there are no keys you can own and control it and shit. You can't put your stocks in a wallet or anything like that, like crypto. That's one good thing I will say about crypto. But besides the fact that you can make a lot of money on it, so that's a given. Yeah. Yeah. And that's probably where, that might be where a lot of the mythology comes from, is from comets in the sky, some kind of major event like that. And people came up with battles of the gods and stuff. The gods are fighting up there and shit, We did a bad thing, humanity, so the gods got mad at us. That type of shit. Learning to make hard candy, Raziel? Hard candy for eating or just for looking through? That's what I want to know. Yeah, Raziel, the Rothschild boom bust cycle. Yeah, that is that a real thing? Or is that just right out of your head? Yeah, the earth is pretty flat where you stand. It's flat as hell where I'm at. Yeah. Everybody stand by. Chaz is reloading. We gotta wait on him. Oh, hard candy for eating? Alright. That's the second best kind. Remember that? I get that from that movie Outlaw Josie Wales, Raziel. Remember the old Indian guy? He said, I got this piece of hard candy. It's not for eating, though. It's just for looking through. Yeah. That's one of my favorite movies. Probably my second. Fight Club is my number one favorite movie. I think Outlaw Josie Wales is my second favorite movie. But yeah, I definitely think that something is coming up, and not because I'm a conspiracy theorist or anything. Just looking at history, right? Just looking at history, when you see dominoes falling, it's not conspiracy theory territory to say, hey, I think that next domino is going to fall. You know what I'm saying? That's just all these other dominoes fell in the past, and that's what dominoes do, is they fall over like that. So put two and two together, and you can say, hey, that next domino is about to fall over. So you can look at, stretch that out, and you see every 10 years we have a major event like that. It's not conspiracy theory to say, hey, I think we're going to have a major event at the end of this decade. Yeah. Yeah, we sacrificed animals to prevent the end of the world. It must have worked, Lake. Yeah. I don't want to end the world. I just want to end civilization, end government, end, end the bullshit. Let's go back to campfires and, bison haunches and shit. Roasting moose knuckles over a bonfire. Okay, hired men to buy stocks for pennies on the dollar. Yeah, yeah. And I read another or watched a video something about another one that they were manipulating the stock market back during the Napoleonic Wars. Yeah, when Napoleon lost the war or something. One of those bankers had a runner that was out there watching the battlefield, and as soon as Napoleon lost, that runner turned around and raced back and told the banker, so the banker bought up a bunch of stock or sold a bunch of stock or something. Yeah, from foreknowledge before everybody else knew, the banker knew, and took advantage of that knowledge. A bison horn full of black powder. Yeah, hell yeah, just in case. Yeah, yeah, Jeremiah Johnson. They actually used to. That was my nickname when I was a kid. People used to call me Jeremiah Johnson. All right, everybody. I'm gonna leave you here. We'll wrap this one up. I got to get ready for work. It's still got some small stuff to do outside, and like I told you on the video, if you haven't watched my final tiny house video, go ahead and check that out if you're interested. It's a whole series of videos. Started 6 or 8 months ago whenever I started this project, when it was just a tractor trailer, a semi trailer. Yeah, the guy just bought a semi trailer and he wanted me to build a house on it, and I built it. So now we just wrapped it up, and now we're going to do some work outside, scraping the dirt and leveling the dirt and stuff today, and maybe a little bit tomorrow. I don't know, but hopefully when this project concludes today or tomorrow, I'll have a couple days off. But that's the plan. So I'm off to work though, and tomorrow evening I plan on doing a live stream at 6 o'clock in the evening. I'm still working on that. We'll work out the exact time so I can be consistent with that. But right now I'm going to say 6, possibly 7. Okay, at the latest. If it's after 7, I just won't be able to do it. I'll have to go to sleep. But I'm going to iron out the time on the evening live streams, which I'm going to start doing here on a regular basis. But Tuesdays and Thursdays I'll be doing evening live streams, just kind of all around chats. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you, Julia Pierce, for the super thanks button. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support. You don't know how much I appreciate it. Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you so much. And so I got to go get ready for work, throw my boots on, grab my my Hydro Pal that Vintage got me, and I'm gonna do a little review video on that Hydro Pal too. Vintage asked me to do that, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that for him. I love that thing. That thing is awesome. I don't know if y'all are aware of it if you've watched my shorts, but yeah, that thing is great. So I'm going to do a little review video on the Hydro Pal here one of these days too. And there's so much stuff I've got to get to with the channel. Got to do a pickled eggs recipe for what, Old Man, I think. Was it Old Man? I think so. Or Big Country. I forget which one requested. It might have been Big Country. But anyway, so I got a few little side things I'm going to try to knock out this week too, so that we can look forward to if y'all like pickled eggs or water. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Christopher John, Raziel, Just Another Guy in the Woods, Bucky, Patty Paws, Chaz, Country Archaeology, Tim Beck, Julia Pierce. Thanks again, Julia. Who else we got here? But thank all of y'all for showing up and hanging out with me. As I say, I have a blast with y'all. God's Warrior. I have a great time hanging out and talking with y'all, and these live streams have just become a real source of enjoyment for me. So I think I got everybody here so far. All right. So if I missed your name, I apologize, but thank you for showing up and hanging out with me. And I will see you tomorrow morning at the same time, 4:30 to 5:30. And then, again, I'll reiterate, we're going to have a live stream tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock. That's Eastern time, too. Eastern time. All right? And I gotta bail for work, so I'm not going to go through my spiel. So, as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.